You turned to writing. You wrote What Lurks in the Woods about your experience. And, I knew you as somebody on the math team, and you're more kind of an engineer. And it just seemed like a big transition and a big undertaking and risk to attempt to write a book. Can you talk about that process, how you actually made this happen, and
Yeah.
what are some of your thoughts on it?
So it all started with journaling, and I've never journaled in my life. Going through the caregiving journey, it was so overwhelming. And as an engineer, part of the way that I solve problems in my professional career is they just kind of loop in my brain until I figure them out, right? It's like, okay, every problem is something that has a solution. I just have to find it. And so it would loop in my brain until I would go. But as a caregiver dealing with somebody who's chronically ill, you can loop for decades and you're not going to get the answer. And so I kind of turned to writing as a way to get the loops in my brain to stop. And I found that by putting them on a page and just acknowledging them, it was relieving a lot of the anxiety and the just frenetic energy that was going on trying to care for my husband. And so, and then once I figured out that, then this started back when he had the Alzheimer's diagnosis. Then when I
Were
figured
you, were
out
you
that
journaling basically every day, or was it
no,
like,
it was very sporadic. It was very sporadic. It was just kind of like, honestly, a lot of times it was like when I would get to a breaking point, I kind of tried to write every day, but sometimes it just didn't come. And then there were other days when I would literally be typing in tears, because I just had to get it out in some way. And I think that's a lot of what made the book really, a lot of people have said it's really like you're in the room. And that's because I wrote down all the detail as it happened. It's not like I can remember that now, years later.
right?
But I had it all captured in the moment. Um, and so once I figured out that the root cause was tick-borne illness, that was kind of when the idea of first came up about, I want to write a book, is I want to turn these journal entries into a story of how we figured out the root cause of his disease. And then I thought at the time, the ending would be about how he healed and recovered to basically show, that this is something that, Alzheimer's and some of these other diagnoses don't have to be a fatal diagnosis.
Right.
And unfortunately, we caught it too late, and the story didn't end that way. But that didn't change my resolve to share the story. If anything, it really more solidified it, because it's like, well, if you don't diagnose these issues and if you don't find the right test at the right time, then this is the outcome. This is the outcome. And so it really just became about sharing our journey so that others didn't have to live the same path.